All right, so there's a saying in sports and relation to championships that it's all about peaking at the right time. I know it sounds kind of cliche, gets saturated after a while, but there's one team out there right now that truly personifies that saying, and it's Ohio State. They are truly peaking at the right time. These past two games against Tennessee and Oregon, that's what I expected Ohio State to look like all season long. They're clicking on all four cylinders. They're truly gelling, congenializing as a team at the right time. I've never seen Ohio State's chemistry look better than it does right now. And so it's a very exciting time in Columbus as this team gets hotter and hotter each week. This team, to compare to another sport, this Ohio State team reminds me of the Dodgers team we just saw in this past year's MLB season. They spent a lot of money on their roster, and for that reason, expectations were elevated. But things for the Dodgers, they clicked at the right time. And in baseball media, and from people like myself, there was a lot of sentiment expressed that they would spend all of that money and still fall short. Because that's what the Dodgers have been known for these past several years. Going all out on their roster, building this roster full of stars and relying on depth. And a lot of people said it was too top heavy, too star studded. There wouldn't be enough chemistry and they'd fall apart at the worst time possible. And that sentiment was kind of echoed for Ohio State because that's what they had done these past several years. They'd have these amazing teams like 2021, 2022, 2023 even, that there would be a high level of expectation for. And they'd fall apart when it means the most, usually against Michigan. And they did that this year too. But because of this new 12-team format in the college football playoff, Ohio State had a chance to redeem themselves. This Ohio State team is the perfect example of a team that has been assisted by the new 12-team playoff. That's what it was designed for, to make sure that teams like Ohio State, who are really good, who just had a slip-up. And that's exactly what that Michigan game looks like right now. You know, they still have a chance to get in the playoff, compete, and pursue a national championship because they do belong in. Ohio State, famously, they spent $20 million on this roster this year. And so kind of like the Dodgers, they went all out, and there's a high level of expectation. And for a little while, it seemed like they were going to not capitalize once again. But you blink once, and here they are, looking like the most dominant team in the nation. That Michigan game, I'm going to allude to it again. That changed this Ohio State team. It enabled a shift in their mentality. It's all about mentality at this time of year for the teams that are still remaining in the playoff. Who's tougher? Who's more resilient? Who's focused on dominance? There's a saying that the late, great Kobe Bryant said several years ago. I don't just want to win. I want to embarrass the opposition. That is the mentality that this Ohio State football team has adopted these past two games. And it shows because they have thoroughly dominated both their opponents, Tennessee and Oregon. There's some teams at this time of year, they become a little conservative. They want to protect what they've achieved in the past, what they've achieved in the season. They want to protect what their reputation is. Ohio State doesn't give a shit about any of that right now. It is all gas, no brakes. It's a kill everything, dominate everyone mentality. Don't look back. That's what this Ohio State team has done these past few weeks, and it is quite fun to watch. These fast starts. I mean, you get to the end of the first quarter, they're already up 21-0. Like, what the hell is going on? It's like, you go. They're up 7-0. You go to the bathroom, you come back out. They're up 21-0. Like, this team is absolutely cooking right now, and you've seen iterations of this Ohio State team in the past under Ryan Day, but then it'll fizzle out. You won't see that same consistency. I don't think that's going to happen this year. With just 2 games remaining, this team is absolutely red hot, and there's nobody in the nation that wants to line up against Ohio State right now. I guarantee you that. Since that Michigan game, that shifted the paradigm for Ohio State. The Buckeyes are averaging 41.5 points per game. That is astounding. And they're also averaging 486.5 total yards on offense in each of those 2 games. So pure and utter dominance of the Buckeyes over their opponents. Individuals like Will Howard, where you'd see him have decently good games this year, but then there's some where you'd scratch your head and be like, what did Ohio State see in him? Well, these past 2 games, that is what Ohio State has seen in Will Howard. 2 consecutive games of over 300 passing yards. He has looked surgical. Will Howard's accuracy is amazing. That one pass he had to Jeremiah Smith in the Rose Bowl the other day, that was surgical. That touchdown pass, exactly where it needed to be. And he's putting these passes exactly where they need to be, hitting his receivers, right in the numbers, in stride, playing his best ball of the year at the right time. And Jeremiah Smith, he's been fantastic all year long as well. But these past 2 games, he has elevated, especially against Oregon. For a freshman, just no fear at all of being on that grand stage, the granddaddy of them all. He just went out and balled. He just went out and did his thing. He went out and did Jeremiah Smith. That young man is special. He may be the best wide receiver prospect we've seen in a very long time, because if he's that good right now, Jeremiah Smith is doing things right now that most juniors and seniors never do. Jeremiah Smith could probably get drafted in the first round of the NFL draft in April if he was eligible to enter. Like, he is that good. It's unbelievable to watch. Defensively, Ohio State is ramping it up as well. That is a fantastic unit as well, and they're starting to play their best football at the right time. Tennessee and Oregon struggled mightily to move the ball against that defense, and not to mention, especially Oregon. Those are 2 offenses that are capable of playing at a very high level. You saw it at times of Tennessee. You saw it more times of Oregon this year. Ohio State shut it right down. It's all about peaking at the right time. Ohio State, they heard the noise. They heard what everybody, including myself, was saying about them after losing to Michigan and going into the Tennessee game. A lot of people expected them to lose at home to Tennessee. That was never a thought on Ohio State's mind. Their only thought was playing their best football when it means the most, putting the past behind them, using the past to motivate them, but putting it behind them at the same time, using it as fuel to motivate them to play their best football yet. And sometimes it's being embarrassed and getting into a high-pressure situation that enables a team to dig in deeper, to shift into another gear, and finds what they're truly made of. Losses like Michigan and narratives that have been formed about Ohio State after that loss, that can bring a locker room together. That can bring a team together. That can band those guys, that staff, that organization overall, that program overall. That can bring you closer together than ever. Because, and I know it feels like forever ago after these 2 games, but there was a time where Ohio State fans were pushing for Ryan Day to get fired right after the Michigan game. They wanted him out of Columbus. And now you fast forward 2 games, he may very well be on his way to a national championship. And that's what I mean when I say high-pressure situation. A coach who's essentially coaching for his job. Because that is a fan base in Ohio State. Those are boosters that can put a lot of pressure on that program to make that move. Even though Ross Bjork said that he's riding with Ryan Day, that is a fan base, that is a group of boosters and donors that have a lot of pull, that have a lot of influence. And if they want a guy going, they'll get him out. These past 2 games, Ryan Day has redeemed himself. Those players went out there and they played for him. They have showed me, they've showed the world what they think of Ryan Day after how they played these last 2 games, through how they played in these last 2 games. They went out and they played for their coach. Like the guy or not, support the guy or not. That is what his guys think of him. That's what his staff thinks of him. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. So facing that high-pressure situation and responding to being mortified. Sometimes you've got to be mortified to truly reflect, look at yourself in the mirror and say, what did I do wrong? How can I improve down the line? And Ohio State did that. I'm in Texas, not Ohio. So I don't know what it was like in that building in those weeks leading up to the Tennessee game. But I know there was a lot of emotion after that Michigan loss. But I think that emotion was converted into motivation and preparing and playing harder than ever and with more intensity than ever. Ohio State's playing their best football right now. And these are the kinds of teams that win championships. Teams that don't just squeak out wins, they dominate. They have a kill everything and dominate everyone mentality. These are the types of teams that win championships. And more each day, I'm starting to expect that out of Ohio State. Yes, they invested a lot in this roster. I made a video about that several months ago, about how much they spent on this roster, around $20 million. But it's starting to pay off, and these guys are gelling at the right time. And obviously, you've got to play who's on your schedule. But if I'm one of Ohio State's opponents, I would really much rather play somebody else and not the Buckeyes. This is looking like a championship team more and more every week, and I can't wait to see what these Buckeyes do down the stretch. Have a great day.